had just started my new job at a sleek, modern office building. The atmosphere was pleasant, the co-workers friendly, and the work engaging. I felt lucky to have landed such a great position. The first few weeks went by smoothly. I settled into a comfortable routine, familiarizing myself with the tasks and getting to know my colleagues. The office was spread across multiple floors, each with its own unique vibe and decor. I'd often explore during my lunch breaks, taking the stairs and wandering through the corridors to discover hidden nooks and crannies. One day, as I was navigating the labyrinthine hallways, I noticed something unusual, a door that seemed to lead to another section of the building. Curiosity got the better of me, and I pushed it open to find myself in a dimly lit corridor. The air felt different here, slightly colder, and a sense of quiet hung in the atmosphere. As I glanced around, I noticed that this corridor was unlike the rest of the office. The walls were bare, the carpeting worn, and the flickering fluorescent lights added an eerie undertone to the surroundings. I stumbled upon the 13th floor, a floor I hadn't heard mentioned before. Intrigued by the mystery of it all, I took a few steps forward. The lights flickered ominously, and a chill ran down my spine as I realized that the 13th floor wasn't listed on the elevator buttons. My curiosity piqued. I decided to investigate further, convinced there was more to this floor than met the eye. As I walked along the corridor, I noticed a series of closed doors on either side. It was odd. There were no names or numbers, just nondescript wooden doors. I reached for the handle of one, hesitating for a moment before giving it a gentle push. The door creaked open, revealing a small, empty office space. Dust motes danced in the dim light, and a musty smell filled the air. I stepped inside, the feeling of unease growing stronger. The office was devoid of any personal touches, as if it had been abandoned abruptly. A sense of foreboding settled over me, and I quickly exited the room, making my way further down the corridor. I tried another door with the same result, an empty, abandoned office that seemed frozen in time. With each door I opened, a growing sense of dread knotted in my stomach. There was something unnerving about this floor. The stillness, the emptiness, the inexplicable feeling that I was being watched. I stopped in front of one last door, my heart pounding as I hesitated before pushing it open. To my surprise, this office was different. The air was colder here, almost frigid, and a faint bluish light emanated from a computer screen on the desk. My breath caught in my throat as I saw that the screen was displaying a message, the letters glowing eerily against the darkness. It read, "Why did you come here?" My pulse quickened, and a wave of panic washed over me. The sensation of being watched intensified, and I spun around, half expecting to see someone, or something, behind me. But the corridor was empty, the other office doors closed and lifeless. I stumbled back from the desk, my heart racing. This floor, this hidden corridor, held secrets that I couldn't begin to fathom. The air grew heavier, and a feeling of dread settled over me like a suffocating blanket. As I hurriedly left the floor, a lingering whisper seemed to echo in my ears, carried on a chilling breeze that followed me into the elevator. The 13th floor had revealed its enigma, and I couldn't shake the feeling that it had awoken something ancient and unsettling within the depths of the office building. It was a chilly evening, and the office was nearly empty, the familiar sounds of bustling co-workers replaced by an unsettling stillness. I was working late, determined to catch up on the mountain of tasks that had accumulated. The fluorescent lights cast a cold, sterile glow over my desk, and the monotonous hum of the air conditioning seemed to amplify the silence. As I typed away, the click-clack of the keyboard my only companion, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched. Every so often, I would glance over my shoulder, expecting to see a coworker passing by or a cleaning crew member making their rounds. But the hallway outside my office remained empty, the shadows dancing along the walls as if conspiring to keep me company. My unease grew, a knot tightening in my stomach. The office had always been a place of routine, a second home where I spent the majority of my waking hours. But tonight, It felt different, foreign almost. A sense of dread hung in the air, and the hairs on the back of my neck stood on end. It was when I caught a glimpse of movement out of the corner of my eye that my heart skipped a beat. I turned quickly, my gaze fixated on the empty hallway. There, in the periphery of my vision, I saw a fleeting shadow, a silhouette that seemed to dart behind a corner and disappear. I blinked, convinced that my tired mind was playing tricks on me. I brushed off the sighting as a trick of the light or a figment of my imagination, a byproduct of hours spent staring at the computer screen. Yet, as I returned to my work, a feeling of unease settled over me once more, refusing to be ignored. Hours passed, and the office grew darker as the sun dipped below the horizon. I was determined to finish my work, my fingers flying across the keyboard in a desperate attempt to regain a sense of normalcy. But as I typed, I became acutely aware of a presence, a palpable energy that seemed to envelop me, its weight almost suffocating. And then, without warning, the air seemed to grow colder, a bone-chilling draft sweeping through the room. I shivered, glancing around, my heart racing. It was then that I saw it, a figure, vague and insubstantial, standing at the threshold of my office. My breath caught in my throat as I locked eyes with the apparition. It was a woman, her features obscured by the shadows, but her eyes gleamed with an otherworldly intensity. I tried to speak, to call out, but my voice was lost in a mixture of fear and disbelief. The figure didn't move, didn't utter a word. It simply stood there, its gaze fixed on me as if it were studying my every move. The minutes ticked by, each second feeling like an eternity, until the figure slowly began to fade, its form dissipating like smoke in the wind. As the last traces of the apparition disappeared, the room returned to its usual state, the oppressive atmosphere lifting as if a heavy fog had been lifted. I sat there trembling, unable to comprehend what had just transpired. I've never been able to explain that night, that encounter with a presence from beyond. Was it a wandering spirit, drawn to the energy of the office? Or was it a trick of the mind, a manifestation of my own exhaustion and anxiety? To this day, whenever I find myself working late in the office, a sense of trepidation washes over me. I can't help but glance over my shoulder, half expecting to catch another glimpse of that unseen visitor, the specter that forever changed my perception of the familiar office walls. It was a rainy night, and the office building seemed to groan under the weight of the storm. I sat at my desk, surrounded by rows of empty cubicles, working late to meet a tight deadline. The soft pitter-patter of rain against the windows was strangely soothing, providing a rhythmic backdrop to my frantic typing. As the clock ticked past midnight, the office phone rang. Startled, I picked it up, expecting to hear a colleague's voice on the other end. But instead, all I heard was a static-filled silence. Confused, I hung up and returned to my work, dismissing the incident as a glitch. Just as I settled back into my rhythm, the phone rang again. This time, a voice crackled through the static, a voice that sounded distant and distorted, as if traveling through a tunnel. My heart raced as I strained to make out the words, a growing unease settling over me. Help. Trapped. Line 7, the voice pleaded before abruptly cutting off. My brow furrowed. Line 7, I muttered to myself, glancing at the phone's display. There was no call ID, only a series of numbers that seemed random yet somehow familiar. Curiosity mingled with dread, and I decided to investigate further. I followed the numbered labels on the office doors, tracing my way to the 7th floor, a floor that had always been locked and off, and with few employees. The elevator ride was eerily quiet, the hum of its machinery masking the rapid thudding of my heart. The 7th floor was dimly lit, the flickering lights casting eerie shadows along the corridor. I hesitated, my breath hitching as I gazed at the closed door labeled Line 7. A sense of foreboding settled over me, but I couldn't ignore the urgency in the voice on the phone. With trembling hands, I push open the door, revealing a forgotten hallway that seemed frozen in time. Dust-covered desks and outdated computers lined the corridor, relics of an era long past. The air was heavy with a musty scent, and an otherworldly chill clung to the surroundings. As I ventured deeper, the static-filled voice echoed in my mind, guiding me to a corner office at the end of the hall. The door stood ajar, and a soft glow emanated from within. With a mixture of trepidation and curiosity, I stepped inside. The room was filled with a soft, ethereal light, and an old-fashioned rotary phone sat on the desk, its receiver off the hook. The voice grew stronger, its words clearer as it repeated its plea for help. Trapped. Help me. Line 7. Heart pounding, I picked up the receiver, my voice shaky as I responded. I'm here. How can I help you? Static crackled, and a gust of cold air swept through the room, causing the dim light to flicker. And then, a chilling voice. A voice that seemed to echo from another world, whispered, "Free me." Fear surged through me as I dropped the receiver, stumbling back from the desk. The room seemed to shift and warp, its walls closing in on me. Desperate to escape, I turned and fled the office, the corridor distorting and contorting around me. As I burst out of the building, gasping for air, I look back at the 7th floor window. A pale figure, half visible in the darkness, pressed against the glass, its eyes locked onto mine. The figure's lips moved, mouthing silent words of gratitude before fading into the shadows. The memory of that night has never left me. The voice, the phantom corridor, and the haunted Line 7. To this day, I wonder about the entity that reached out to me from beyond, trapped between worlds and seeking release. Did these stories send shivers down your spine? Could you imagine yourself in their unsettling situations? If you've braved these tales till the end, consider subscribing to our channel for more captivating narratives that delve into the unknown. If you have your own spine, tingling, or hair-raising tale to share, send it our way via email. We'd love to feature your story in our next video. Remember, even the most ordinary places can harbor extraordinary secrets. Stay curious and stay captivated.